I call order the Newman City Council regular meeting, September 27th, 2022. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation? Right? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome here to City Council meeting. But tonight, we just pray, Father God, that you will just come in and take control. Ease our minds that we can make the right decisions for this city and welcome our guests this evening. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Item number 4, roll call.
Councilmember McDonald,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ball,
Present.
Councilmember Pimentel,
Here.
Mayor Graham.
Here. Any declarations of conflicts of interest tonight? None. All right. Item number 6, ceremonial matters. Wreaths Across America presentation. Rose, good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We didn't get the consent.
Russ.
Sorry. My name is Rosalie Hurst, and I reside at 1447 Q Street here in Newman. And I brought a couple of vets here with me and one over there. So I want to address the Honorable Mayor, City Council members, City Manager, other officials, and the audience. And I want to start off with just saying that December the 17th at 1 p.m. at Hills Ferry Cemetery, we will be having a full ceremony again this year for the Wreaths Across America. And some of you already have heard this history, but I'm going to say it again, okay? I'm an Army brat. Emphasis on the word brat. And I lived that way for 18 years. And then, of course, I married into the Air Force. Then I dated a Marine. Then I married into the Navy. And I'm going to stay right there. And one of my closest friends is a Coast Guard. So I have to apologize. Gayleen Ramos was going to be here this evening, and she was just going to talk briefly about San Joaquin, the National Cemetery. She's very ill. And so I told her that I would try to make certain that I get her in again to talk about it before the time, okay? In 2019, I was helping Gayleen out at the National Cemetery, and she said, Rose, why don't you become a local coordinator for Hills Ferry? Because we have 900 plus veterans buried out at Hills Ferry. Some of them were moved when National came in, but a lot of people chose not to do that. And Manuel M. Lopes, who the post for the American Legion is named after, and Joseph G. Rose for the VFW post, they're both buried out at Hills Ferry. So every year I try to make certain that I get something put onto their graves because they were very special men. When I started doing this, that very first year I came before City Council, and City Manager was kind enough to disseminate the information around to the different departments. And I want to say I came up with maybe like 240 wreaths that year. And so I thought, okay, next year I'm going to double that. And then COVID hit. And so my family went out with us, and we laid just a few wreaths that we could get. And that would have been 2020. 2021 came, and everything was still kind of on hold. And I thought, okay, I'm not certain if I should do this. And so I got a really late start at it, but I decided to do it anyway, and we had a full ceremony, and Mayor Graham was there. And we had a full ceremony, and it was dedicated to the World War II vets. And we had four World War II vets there. And so that was quite an honor. But the wreath count was only 90. So I'm looking at 90, and I'm looking at 900 plus. And I'm thinking, I have to do something about this. And there was an article written in the newspaper. I really thank Sabre for that. And it just, people were still kind of reeling from COVID, I think. So I thank our manager, Michael Holland, for what he did for me in 2019. And what I did was I kind of gave you a couple of handouts here. And this very first one, I've numbered all these for you. This one gives you what's happening now. They're not actually taking, I'm not taking orders. When I was at Fall Festival, I just gave out information sheets like this for people to know how to do it this year. Everything's being done online. So this gives you a little bit of history about Wreaths Across America. We're in Normandy now, which I think is absolutely great. And then it talks about the two groups. So when you go online, you'd have to do the wreathsacrossamerica.org/CAHFCD. Now that's the Hills Ferry Cemetery location number. And then the Blue Star Mothers is who we do fundraising for. So if something comes out of this and they get it. Down at the bottom gives all of my information about volunteering, et cetera. On sheet number 2, what you'll see is what is a veteran's wreath. And I handed this one out at Fall Festival because a lot of people don't really realize what these wreaths represent. And if you'll look at numbers 1 through 10, you can see what our veterans and these wreaths represent. Handout number 3 is the old form that I had when I would take the orders that would be a hard copy. Why I'm giving you that one is because it had the cost of the wreaths on it. And it also has the location number and the fundraising number, again, in case you lose it. So with those handouts, what I would like to ask is for the city council to somehow support us this year. I would really some year like to say that I got 900 plus veterans' graves covered with a wreath. May take a while, but I'm going to be around for a while. So you guys are stuck with me. So I'm going to work at it diligently because I see my 2 vets sitting there and that vet sitting there. And having grown up in the military, I know exactly what is given for our price of freedom. So please think about somehow getting this information out there and getting me some wreaths to cover. And by the way, I want to tell you that Scott Shaw, the new manager of the cemetery, has been wonderful to work with. And he's getting some computer capabilities, so he's going to try to document those veterans' graves, because sometimes it's really difficult when we get out there to actually find where some of the graves are at. And so he's going to be documenting those for us. Okay? And do you have any questions?
All donations are done online now, not,
Yes.
you don't accept.
Yeah, everything's done online now. You just have to have those 2 numbers, the location one and the fundraising one.
Right.
And when you go onto the Wreaths Across America site, it'll take you to the page and, okay? Anything else?
Yeah, I would just like to say that, every city has angels like yourself that basically, think of our veterans. The city of Newman, since I've been here, we've always spoken in reference to our veterans because we have quite a few veterans here in the city.
Right.
We have, our mayor is a veteran.
Yes.
That, I pray for him all the time simply because he's got a twofold thing that he's a police officer and he needs prayer.
Yeah.
So in saying that, I'm just so grateful, Rose, not just that you're my friend, but that you've taken this, task on, because we need leaders like yourself that will, for the young men and women that go to protect our country,
Yes.
that they are recognized, in terms of what they have accomplished, in terms of protecting the city, this country called United States of America. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the comment. And by the way, your mayor will be laying one of the ceremonial wreaths this year. And last year, we had our first female veteran from the coalition, the Commission on Aging, which I also sat as a member. And she came and represented Army, and she laid the ceremonial wreath. She'll be our keynote speaker this year.
Oh, great.
So thank you for your attention.
Outstanding. Thank you.
great evening.
Thank you for everything you do, Rose.
Yes.
Thank you, Rosalie.
Okay.
We gave last year? What was
I
it?
don't recall, but we'll make sure that we get it in timely this year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. All right, item number 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. Would anybody like to speak tonight? Ladies, would you guys like to talk? No? All right. Item number 8, consent calendar. A, waive all readings of ordinance and resolution except by title. Approval of warrants. C, approval of minutes of the September 13th, 2022 meeting. D, adopt resolution 2022, next to number, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a purchase and sale agreement for 96 acres for the use of the city's wastewater operations. And E, adopt resolution 2022, next number, a resolution authorizing the fire chief to execute any future agreement with the Department of Forestry and Fire Protection for the Rural Fire Capacity Grant Program.
I'll move that we adopt the consent calendar for this.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a first and second, go and vote. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 9, public hearings, there's none tonight. Item number 10, regular business. A, report on Newman Chamber of Commerce tree lighting event at the downtown plaza.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take this one as Allie's not feeling well today. So it's time for our annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony. As you know, that's on the first Saturday of December. This year it falls on December 3rd. The time for the event is 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. It also tentatively is scheduled, weather permitting, we'll have fire truck rides from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And there'll be plenty of food and crafts booths in our downtown plaza. There will also be a DJ playing holiday music throughout the event. And as you know, this is a no alcohol event. At this time, there's a community parade that's trying to be scheduled up, and we're hoping that moves forward as well. So this is put on by the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber has made the following request, exclusive use of the downtown plaza and the 1300 block of Main Street. We would close Main Street on the north side of Tulare and on the south side on the Fresno. So that block between Fresno and Tulare, where the West Side Theater is, we would close that off. We'd waive all parade permit fees, waive standards for the downtown plaza because it's was co-sponsored by the city with downtown with the $1,000 deposit, insurance reduction to $1 million, and that's what the chamber will provide for us. We'll use city-owned traffic control devices, so there won't be any charge for that. And then waive all their restroom and electrical use fees, and that's a $25 fee. So all other standards in the event will apply. As you know, this is an annual event. We've been doing it with the chamber for a number of years. The chamber's taken a little bit more of a lead role this year. We're optimistic. We're going to get a great year and wonderful weather. And so with that, it's staff's recommendation that you approve the Newman Chamber of Commerce tree lighting event for December 3rd with their approved or requested changes to the downtown standards.
Any questions?
No.
I'll open up to the public for any comments or questions. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council for action.
I will move to approve the report on the Newman Chamber of Commerce tree lighting event at the downtown plaza.
I'll second that.
We got first and second, go and vote online. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 10B, accept the City of Newman 2021-2022 Pavement Management Program update.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good evening.
Good evening. So first of all, I just want to say I'll be taking Keith's time tonight, and it looks like Lou's too, since he's not here. Sorry, I have to joke against.
He was excited in the last couple of meetings.
I know, I heard.
He had extra time.
I heard, I thought I'd get a little payback.
Investigating it, Mayor.
So the item before you is to consider accepting the pavement management program update for 21-22. Through StanCog, all the agencies in Stanislaus County hired a consultant, and they surveyed and did an update for each individual agency in the county and the region. And this document that was included in your packet is the result of that effort. I do have a presentation, a nice long one for you, where we'll talk a little bit more in detail about what this pavement management plan does for us. The document itself is basically a guide to tell us and guide us through what road and transportation projects do we need to do based on the conditions of the road. The document has a lot of detail that will help us as we start planning projects, as far as cost and what types of treatment. Our pavement network consists of 40.7 centerline miles. And that is if you're driving straight down the middle of the road. But as you know, we have a minimum of 2 lanes on most roads, with the exception of Jensen. And so that basically doubles it. So we have 81.4 miles of road, lane miles that we are responsible for paving and maintaining. And so the total investment for the city of Newman, if we were to redo every road in town, would be a $100 million investment. As part of this pavement management plan update, the consultant surveyed the entire town. They drove down every single road. They rated the roads from failed to good condition. And then they average all those scores of every road, and they give us our pavement condition index, which is 68, which is a medium score, which means we have a lot of improvement. As this chart shows you, though, 56% of our entire network is good, which is a pretty good number. Fair is 28.6%. And then poor and failed are about 14.7% combined. So those 14.7% roads would tell us that's where we need to start. If we slurry, pave, pulverize, overlay, reconstruct, then that'll bring our PCI index up. The report actually goes into a lot of detail of what different scenarios of how much money can we spend, what will that do to our pavement condition index. And so that's really great if you have an unlimited supply of money, but we don't. And so what we want to do is look at highly traveled roads, the worst condition roads, and the amount of funding that we have, and then make a reasonable recommendation to you on which roads are the best fit for funds that we receive. These photos are an example of how the roads are rated. The top left photo is a PCI, and these are example photos. They're not roads in Newman. The top left photo is a score of 85. You can see that the pavement condition is fairly good. You can see if you look really close and know what you're looking at, that a little bit of the aggregate starting to show through. That's why it doesn't get a higher score of 85. And so that in a couple of years will probably be eligible for a slurry or possibly crack seals if cracks develop. But that is a good road, good score. The top right photo is a 60. It's in the mid-range of a fair road. And you can see cracking starting to occur, a little bit more aggregate, a couple patches out there from repairs. And so that road would be require a little bit more treatment to bring the score up to a good. The bottom left photo is in the poor condition at a score of 40. And you can see there's wider cracks. A crack seal might not be sufficient. You might need a chip seal to really fill those cracks in with a good fine, which is a sand or rock material. And then a slurry, and then of course striping. In some cases, these roads would need to be overlaid, which is where you seal your cracks and then you put a layer of 2 to 4 inches of pavement over, which is kind of what we did on Kern. And you get a really good road when you're done. You can only do that so many times, otherwise you'll have, after the third or fourth time, you'll have 12 inches of asphalt. So, and then that starts affecting the crown of your road, is what we're finding on Highway 33, because Caltrans keeps overlaying it instead of doing it properly. The final failed example, which is PCI of 20, you can see that the road is really starting to fail. There's a lot of alligatoring, which is those little tiny squares. And when water hits that type of condition, the pavement falls out, and then now you have a pothole. It's harder to patch. It just degrades really, really quickly, and then you have a really, really bad road. Kind of what you would find over on Canal School. And this would be a full reconstruct where you would pulverize, and then you would compact the material that's left if you could reuse it, and then you would come in with a paving machine and pave it with fresh pavement. And I talked a little bit about the treatments, but a different type of treatment comes with a different kind of cost. And so the minor costs, which could be $5 or less per square yard, would be a crack treatment, where you find maybe a new neighborhood during high heat or cold events. That's when you'll see a perfectly good neighborhood that you never saw a crack, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, there's a crack on this road. And it's because of that pavement contracts and expands with weather. And so we can typically crack seal those roads and get more life. We've done a little crack sealing over the last couple of years, and we need to expand that. The next is a surface treatment, and that would be a chip seal or a slurry seal. And those can really last several years, and it's oily substance that's mixed with sand or a little bit bigger fine, like triple sand pieces that fill in those cracks and then leave an oily surface, and that kind of fills in the aggregate that starts getting exposed on a failing road, on where the rock kind of starts coming through. And it also, when you drive on that type of road, starts giving noise. So when you're driving down those roads, you'll hear more noise. And that's when, okay, we need to do a slurry. The restoration treatment is where you've got a really bad road. You need to go in, you need to either overlay it. If you've got you don't have a lot of failures like the alligator and everything, you can just overlay it. But if you overlay over something that's really, really failed, then you'll have a failure there again faster than you normally would on an overlay. So in those cases, we want to do a full restoration, which is a pulverize and then pave. And that is a good road that can last you up to 20 years if you maintain it and slurry it regularly and crack seal it if you see any cracks. So this is a map of our current PCI condition. You can see there's a lot of green, which makes me happy. The blue and yellow are good as well. But those are going to need minor treatments like slurries or crack seals in the near future, so they don't go to a poor condition. The orange and red is what we want to concentrate on with funding that we don't already have. Overall, this is surprisingly good, better than we can expect. It's a testament over the last 10 years of projects that the city of Newman has been accomplishing. A lot of that is thanks to some of you on the council. Not all me, but we can give a lot of credit to Michael this time. Okay, so the next map shows current funded projects. So we don't have to worry about where we're going to get the money, or, we don't have to identify these projects because we've already identified them. Michael and I and our funding sources, some roads qualify for different types of funding. So we want to save local funding like Measure L and SB1 for roads that don't qualify for federal funding or some of the state funding. And so we've already got, as you can see, Kern Street's completed. That was your SB1 project that you identified in your SB1 list. And that has been completed. And then you've got, and so that, this survey was done as that construction was happening. That's why it's not reflected green right now. We also, with this program, get a street saver system, which is a software. So as we do projects, we can plug our new PCI in, our new road, and then that should show us an updated PCI as we complete road work. The Main Street project is designated already for STBGP funding. We are going to be able to accomplish that, probably design this year and construction next. And that is tied to the Stanislaus Street, which is from Highway 33 all the way to Inyo. And that's going to be funded under SB1 funding, but we're going to construct those two projects together to get a better price on paving, and both of those projects are funded. The final project is the surface improvements for Inyo and Canal School. This is a big project. We went through a lot of effort this year to get additional funding, and now it was initially just designated to be done in the intersection and about 100 feet out on either side, on either road. But we were able to go through StanCog, request additional funding, and they allocated funding for us, so we can go now all the way from Merced, which is Hills Ferry right there, Hills Ferry, all the way to L Street. And so that is all going to be done. Oh, just about to Saputo. And then we'll still have a little stretch of red that we'll have to, right here in this little portion right here, this will still require some funding. And so part of bringing this to you is to see, share with you and the community what the conditions of the roads are, but also prepare you for a meeting in October where Michael and I will be working on projects to bring you to spend Measure L funding. We did a really big Measure L project. We've paid ourselves back for that. And now we're ready to do another Measure L project. And so we want, based on this plan, bring you some projects so you can tell us, okay, do it. And then we can get in design and get these projects constructed. And I'll take any questions now if you have any.
Just in response to some of the citizens who have been asking me questions, they continually ask about T Street. How far out are we from the T Street project?
So T Street, we did obtain a grant to study the T Street corridor, and we've been submitting paperwork back and forth to Caltrans, and I expect a notice to proceed in October. So once October gets here, then we'll start that process, and that'll include several public workshops and some meetings, some knocking on doors out there to get the residents along that corridor involved so we can make a really educated decision on bringing the community on what decision we make and having their input. And so that'll be happening soon.
And Councilmember Ball, on the T Street one, just to kind of go a little deeper, it's going to be a redesign because, as you know, it's not pedestrian and bicycle, it's not pedestrian friendly. So this grant is a grant that will help us design a more pedestrian friendly T Street. And then once we get the design in, then we'll go into engineering and construction afterwards.
Thank you.
And sidewalks are really well funded when there are no sidewalks. And so we think we're going to be able to, we've already been trying to identify funding. And so we think we'll be able to do an active transportation grant that will fund that corridor for the construction. And so this will kind of get us to the point where we know what we need to design.
Thank you.
And so that's a 3-year project, starting now. So I hope I'm here to see it.
And once we get the Measure L funding or how we're going to spend some of the money coming up for the October meeting
Yes.
on roads and that,
Yes.
we'll be able to put a list together so it could be online so people could see where their roads are and how,
Yes.
when potentially they might be repaired and things like
Yes.
that based on
Yep.
our
Schedule.
funding. Yeah.
Yep, a schedule and then what roads are going to be covered. We can certainly make an exhibit to put online under a Measure L website.
Yeah. Perfect.
My question is, we're right in the middle of State Highway, which is 33.
Right.
So by that and looking at some of the main streets that hook into Highway 33, doesn't that come under state and federal dollars, those streets that hit in to the highway?
Some of them do. Some of them are collectors, and so some of those are eligible for federal funding, and we will be taking that into consideration before we bring new projects.
Right, and that's key. And I think that, and the only reason why I brought it up is because a lot of our major cities right now are really keying in on the state and federal funds that's for transportation. I got blank real quick, but anyway, those funds that are earmarked, for the infrastructure and
The big cities really love that money.
yeah, and so I mean, in saying that, although we're going to get a slice of that pie, we just got to make sure that and I take my hats off to you guys, Michael and you, Pat, is that you guys do just a good job in terms of staying after the dollars, because sometimes the small cities, they overlook it and they just bypass those dollars. I'm glad that you guys have, the knowledge in terms of how to go after those state and federal dollars, because that's going to help us in terms of the residents for the city of Newman.
Yep.
One last question is that I noticed this for the last 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. I had to leave to go to the Bay Area, but I noticed coming up Sherman, and I get to 33, and the line goes, the cars go way back two or three blocks. When are we going to put up a stop sign or light at that Sherman and 33?
So that is identified in our highway-specific plan that we just completed last year. And that is really dependent on a lot of different things tied to funding. So if we had zillions of dollars, we could put whatever we want out there. It'll just take time because of Caltrans approvals. And so Caltrans has to look at every single thing we do on their corridor. And they have to approve it, but we have to design it and pay for it. And so it's a very long, drawn-out process, but it is in our highway-specific plan. When funding comes up for those types of things, or a project, so another project, so say, something develops on that side of town, then we can start looking at that corridor and get pedestrian crossings there. But it is identified in the highway-specific plan.
Great.
And so, we're always looking for funding. Michael's always looking for funding for these types of things. And so,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, I'll open up the public for any questions or comments. All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to council for action.
Okay, I move to accept the City of Newman 21-22 Pavement Management Program update.
First, second?
I'll second.
Yeah, first and second, go and vote online. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you so
Catherine.
much.
Item number 11, items from District 5, Stanislaus County Supervisor. Russell is here in his place. Welcome, Russell.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Russell Fowler, Supervisor Chance Condit's office. Supervisor apologizes he can't be here tonight, but has another commitment. Just a few things that I wanted to touch on. First of all, I want to thank your fire chief who came and helped us out at a Crow's Landing community cleanup. We do quite a bit of cleanups on the west side and in our unincorporated areas. I must say your fire chief has been in every single one of them. And I know the supervisor appreciates that, so he doesn't have to lift things by himself, because it's a lot of work. Chief will attest to that. It's quite the lift. And I also want to thank some students from Orriston High School and the Interact Club that came out and did some community service hours. I can tell you that's not what I was doing when I was 16. So those kids are way ahead of me. They were a great help to us, and we'll be getting them all letters of recommendation and that kind of stuff. They did a terrific job. Also want to say that we were happy to do a little bit of good teamwork with your fire department in helping them get the grant for their command vehicles from the San Joaquin Air Pollution Board. Supervisor lobbied on that on behalf of the fire department and was able to get that done. So we're awfully proud of that, and just wanted to deliver those 2 updates. So
Those are going to be those little smart cars, right?
yeah, I don't even know if I could fit in one of those. But yeah, those are
Thank you.
kind of some things that we've been up to, and just happy to keep serving. So any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you.
We're soon replicating our movie day. We took inspiration from you guys, and we'll be doing it in Keys on the 8th. So again, want to thank all your staff for the help that they've rendered to us for that, and hopefully ours is just as much a success as it is yours.
I just have one thing. Do you think you guys can get somebody to look at Stir Road going from 33 out to I-5?
Yeah.
It's becoming pretty alligated and
Okay.
needs a little care probably.
Yeah, happy to take a look at it. I know we are taking a look at some potholes. I don't know if Fruit Avenue is in your guys' area, but we're looking at that one and some different ones on that road as well. So
If you get somebody to inspect and check it out.
what's that?
If we could get somebody to inspect
Yeah,
and check it out, that'd be
absolutely.
great.
We're happy to do that, and we'll do it to our crews. I know it's something that we get every day. So
Outstanding. Thank you, Russell.
Yeah. And I just want to thank you so much for the information you guys passed along to me. Very helpful.
of course.
And once again, just tell them, just keep us up to date in reference to, the progress on
Yeah, we sure will. I know when there's another update, we'll certainly let you guys know and keep you in the loop. Right now, we're just kind of working through the unflashy stuff of agreements and trying to get things batted down. So, but when we have something more flashy to share, we certainly will.
Outstanding.
Anything else?
Thank you, Russell.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Items number 12, items from the city manager and staff. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. As most of you know, like when our former supervisor DeMartini left, he was a hardworking guy. But I'm going to tell you, between Mr. Fowler and Supervisor Condit, they haven't missed a beat. You would.
Top of it.
Yeah.
We always wondered how much attention that we would get, after DeMartini left. But these guys are out all the time, and a big kudos to Mr. Fowler and Supervisor Condon. I mean, they're doing a great job representing the West Side. They really, truly care about Newman, and I appreciate that from a city manager's perspective.
Well, see,
and I know the
means
community
that
does.
when you have to fill someone's shoes, you have to be much better, like a Gimple.
Well, and they're doing a great job. So
Yeah.
kudos to
Greatly
them.
appreciated.
Yeah. So, and just touching a little bit on some of the comments earlier as we talked about the pavement management program, and it's an important feature for us. As you know, we did a big project right at the kickoff of Measure L. I think we were the first city to go out and do a project, $1.5 million, borrowed it from ourselves, and we just recently paid that back. So now we're looking at a $2 to $2.5 million project at our next swing. Again, just encourage you to, as you do, listen to your constituents, look at the map. If you see something, send us a quick email or text or something, so that way we can make sure our engineers look at that as well, so we can get some cost estimates. We probably have more than $2 to $2.5 million worth of projects out there right now. So you're going to have to make some decisions on that. But if you have something that you really want us to really dive into and look at, please either text me or email me or Catherine, and or just tell us at a meeting. We anticipate that we are bringing this back to you the second meeting in October. So the goal is, if we can get direction from you at the second meeting in October, we think we would be on schedule to go ahead and award that late summer, so that it would be under construction about this time next year. So, and that would be, again, that would be a great project for our community. We are actively working on the Jensen Road Sherman intersection. As we all know, that that section can back up, just like Inyo and 33 back up in the morning at school time as well there, right? And just if you even think about it, Caltrans still won't, even though we're gonna blow up that intersection in March, they're still not letting us hang lights yet. I mean, they haven't met the warrants and all that other stuff. So they have some very strong criteria. With that being said, we are still constantly working on the Jensen Road widening project. That's a very important one. We're trying to schedule up a meeting with CCID right now because we want to pipe the ditch on the south side. We want to move the poles out so that we can start getting 2 lanes in there and doing some of that, as well as doing some intersection improvements. So if we didn't have to go to Caltrans, we would probably be ready to construct that in 23. But because we have to go to Caltrans, it's probably going to be 24 before you get that full construction, at least the intersection portions of it there as well. Because part of that is also bringing water and sewer under the railroad tracks, under the highway, as well as fixing some storm drainage CCID issues that are going on in that area as well. So it's a big project, but it's constantly, we get monthly updates on the progress on it. And they know that that's an important project to our community. And I make sure that the engineer knows that every month when we meet. So. Just 2 quick, we had a good meeting with 2+2 the other day. Very cordial. I think we're working well with the new superintendent. They have now officially submitted a formal request to us with respect to operation of pool programs that's going to be coming forward. That was one of the things that as the superintendent was talking to his insurance risk management people and I was talking to ours, one of the things that both sides wanted was some kind of agreement on what that was going to look like. So he submitted a formal request to us, and I'm getting that over to my RMA so we can start having some conversations. Progress looks good. I think what they're asking for is not too far out of the realm from my perspective. I still have to get that, blessed by the insurance and the risk management people, but hopefully we'll be moving forward here shortly and trying to get a program put together where we're working together with the school district on summer programs. As you know, Sean and I, Mr. Posey and I, we both agree that we're serving the same constituents. So it behooves us to work together to get there, and so hopefully we're going to get there sooner than later. And then just lastly, as you know, we got a grant for the nature park. We applied for 2. Unfortunately, we got 1. It does require a 50% match. So we're out beating the bushes, if you will. And so I have fortunately for us, the CEO of Merced County is a former city manager in Stanislaus County of Houston, Raul Mendez. So I had to call up his office and I'm gonna go buy him lunch and sell our project and see and show them that I think it behooves Merced County to look at making an investment into that park program as well. It is in Merced County. It will serve Merced County constituents out there. I think it's a great project that's, the state, funding these projects, and, you see Merced's out there as well. So I think when he sees it all, we're hoping that we can get a financial contribution from Merced County that would help us meet our match on that. And then afterwards, I'll be talking to Mr. Fowler and Supervisor Condit and Mr. Hayes to see if there's something we can do in Stanislaus County to help with that as well. So. And just lastly, just wanted to, on behalf of the Public Works Department or wastewater operations, is to thank you for your purchase and sale agreement today. We expect that we'll probably close that in October. That's one of the final pieces that we need out there to really put the final stamp on that. And this can actually play into the news project and the nature park, and it's going to be a community amenity for decades to come, and it's going to put Newman on the map with respect to this type of projects. No one else is doing them out there, and it's going to be a demonstration project. So, with that, I can answer any questions you may have.
No, thank you for the update.
Thank you.
All right, no alley tonight. Chief
No alley.
Richardson.
Union Mayor, council members, the only thing I have tonight is our low-cost animal clinic is October 20th at Pioneer Park from 5 to 7. Yeah.
Time again?
From 5 to 7. And we happen to answer any questions.
Questions? No. All right. Catherine.
Sorry, Chief. So, I just want to put it out there. If you see a public works employee, thank them. Because they are the backbone of the community. They are, wherever you need somebody, that's who's out there, is the public works guys and ladies. They, from answering the phone to picking up broken glass in the parking lot to trimming a tree, whatever we need, they're out there. And we hound them. I hound them a lot, and they are always very gracious. I am the boss, but they could give me grief and, excuses, but they don't. They always have our back. And so if you see one, thank them. I just want to tell you about a few projects. We opened bids today on the news project. We'll be bringing you that for award soon. We just opened them today, so we have very preliminary numbers, and we're going to be going through all those bids in detail. The Inyo utility project's almost done. They're installing the water pipe. They did the tie-in at Saputo, in front of Saputo today, so that's a continuous water loop now. We'll be starting a tree management plan. We got a grant from CAL FIRE to study all the trees. They're going to evaluate every tree we own and then tell us the health of the tree, almost like the pavement management, give us a software so when we go out pruning trees or we have a unhealthy tree, we can identify it and then know to remove it, replace it, whatever we need to do to it. Print sewer capacity project is been awarded and a notice to proceed has been issued, and I think they will be starting that project about the third week of October. The McPike irrigation project at the wastewater treatment plant and the truck line replacement project, those will be going out to bid mid-October with an expectation of hopefully awarding the first meeting in December, which I think is the only meeting in December, and then starting construction depending on weather. That's all I got, but I'll take any questions.
Thank you.
On the Inyo, after they finish their project, are they gonna pave that?
So the Inyo, that is about 95% designed, and as soon as we should be going out to bid very soon on that project. Good point, I should have talked about that one.
Just point of clarification, the Inyo and Canal School paving won't take place probably until the spring of '23.
Weather dependent.
Yeah, it's weather dependent. You really don't want to pave in the cold. So they're going to be finishing this project up probably around the end of October, middle of October. So it really will be the spring of '23 when we get out there to do the Canal School and Inyo paving job.
Yep. Thanks, Mike. That's all I got.
Thank you. Chief Owen?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. A few things. I want to thank you guys for approving the consent calendar. One of the things on there was a grant opportunity. We use this grant every year, often known as the 50-50 grant, to subsidize the cost of our specialized equipment we wear for firefighting, and it's a huge discount for us. And we're replacing that gear about every 10 years. But when you got 30 employees, that's a lot of gear, so it's nice to get it on that cycle. So thank you guys again for approving the consent calendar. Also just was gonna say thank you to Supervisor's Office. They did assist us in getting that grant, which was a nice grant to help offset the cost of 2 command vehicles. We're almost getting 2 for the price of 1. So great grant opportunity, and I thank them again. Also want to let everybody know, Fire Prevention Week is coming. We've got the schools scheduled, so we'll be visiting the elementary schools the week of October 9th. This year's theme, it is 100th anniversary, and this year's theme is Fire Won't Wait. So you guys might see us on social media and whatnot, and we'll be out at the local schools this year. Last thing, I just want to remind you guys, we're still doing fire inspections. We've been doing the apartments and businesses along Main Street. I think they've made their way almost to Inyo now. So some just projects we were kind of behind over the COVID slowdown, so we're starting to get caught back up. Also on October 20th, they'll be having the National Shakeout. It's more of just observation day. It's not too much we do, but just in your businesses or whatever, you can make a pledge to commit to earthquake safety and all that. So other than that, I can answer any questions anyone might have.
Who won the raffle?
Yeah, the Public Works, actually. Two of your guys is, two of the Public Works employees, wasn't it? Yeah, and then one from, actually was a firefighter from Patterson. It wasn't rigged, I promise.
Thank you for representing our city out with the supervisor and helping out with that stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pro Tem Ball?
Really enjoyed the 2+2 meeting with the school district that Leroy and I attended with Michael last week. I feel that, I've been on the council for 21 months now, and I feel that we do have a very good working relationship with the school board. It's great to see Vern and Rosalie here. You too, Bill. I feel like we've got a very good relationship going forward, and I'm happy to see that. So that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Councilman McDonald?
He took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, but that's quite all right, because we did have a productive 2-on-2. And the word has been getting around that superintendent and city manager are not getting along. And I don't know how that's flying, because these guys are getting things done. And that's the relationship that I think we worked on for the last year to 2 years, and it's growing to the point where these guys basically, they won't do anything without the other knowing about it, and that's good. And I'm glad to see that. But that 2-on-2 meeting was very productive, and we got some things done, in terms of moving forward, with the projects. That's all.
Thank you.
I'd like to say that the COVID variant shot is available in Newman, California now, so get your shots, and flu shots are coming up too, guys. And they're free. Pioneer, Rite Aid. That's about it.
Thank you. Ladies, welcome and thank you for coming. Hope it wasn't too boring for you guys.
Can I add something? Can you please tell Mr. Barnes that to tell all the students this is really not a scary place to come, and it's actually quick. Though this is probably our longest meeting of the year, but please encourage your fellow students to come on in.
All right.
And Rose, thank you for the presentation, and good luck, and thank you for coming. And with that, I'll ask for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
First, second.
Second.